this, assassination of this high-ranking general. So Trump would basically keep the sanctions in place, and countries started to pull away from their, buying of oil from Iran, which basically lowered the value of the currency. I believe like $1 gets you like 40,000 reals, which is Iranian money. And of course, Iran, pissed about the whole thing. So the whole issue with Soleimani comes into play, starts to happen around now, because you got to understand I'll get into this in a second, what's really taking place, what he's trying to do. So you have Soleimani, who is basically a general who's running the Quds. And the Quds is basically like this elite fighting group of soldiers that's placed all over the Middle East. And he supposedly was the general that trained them. Now, when you understand what's basically taking place is, remember, Trump stepped up to the podium. This dude is a sick killer. He's responsible for killing American soldiers, so on and so forth. Dude is CIA, plain and simple. Everybody knows he's CIA. CIA worked for us, and basically he was one of the people that was training ISIS and training Taliban and so on and so forth to go to these countries and do what they've been doing. Think about it. I mean, people are so stupid, man. American people are just retarded. This is so easy to see. So, again, you have to destabilize these countries, but you can't be the one that's doing that, of course. So you have these CIA assets, these generals that's out there. They implant these people, and when they get them to go and train these soldiers and get them to go and do the dirty work for America. This is why we always come in later. Notice how it's an attack or something happens, some kind of bombing, then American troops come. What happened before that? Well, you have these Taliban and these mercenaries and these soldiers that the CIA run, that Soleimani was controlling. They go in there and they start to destabilize the place to get the rulership to start acting right. And then once they pop that joint open, they send in American troops to go in there and clean up. Plain and simple. American troops going in there thinking that they're heroes and it's easy and the people just fleeing, when he's basically commanding these people to leave because the soldiers is coming in to finish up the job. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. This is what's been going on. And the whole thing with Soleimani is like, come on, man. This dude is like one of the top. I mean, it's like the equivalent of the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State getting killed at a freaking airport by a drone. Something he's been avoiding, for a long time because he probably thought it was one of his. But for this dude to be so important and get killed in Iraq, come on, man. So it tells you something was up, and he was set up and they killed him. The reason behind that is because who knows? I mean, maybe he wanted to talk, or maybe they wanted to get rid of all ties, but you had Trump come up to the podium and basically say, well, ISIS is gone, Taliban is gone, and then now this guy just suddenly, he's gone now. So they're getting rid of the evidence of what they have been doing as far as destabilizing these people. All you have to do is go and look at where these people ended up at, the Quds. So we see in Syria, we see in Libya, we see in all these different places where you had the destabilization of these people, and you had some kind of war breakout. And then America comes in and say, well, we got to protect these people from, people that's trying to commit crimes against humanity. And America comes in there, and next thing you know, we got the resources, we got the bag, and we in there. So it's the same thing with Iraq, and they're trying to do the same thing with Iran, but Iran ain't having it. It's not going to be as easy as we think. So again, you got to understand the history, which I talked about. And you have the creation of these people, which is why they look the way they look. I mean, people, I got to stop being so blind and so focused on, just the skin color. Africans make every skin color, plain and simple. But it's clear, you can look at a people and see that they're mixed. Look at the hair, you can tell that these people are mixed. Anybody who is not looking like us with the dark skin, you can tell they mixed somehow with the Aryans or the Europeans somehow. But you got to think about how and think about why. Like, where did this happen? Why did it happen? And why are these people all involved in the major wars that we have seen, throughout history? And again, this is what they was bred for. They were purposely created to go out and execute the plans or the let's just say the conquests behind the scenes for the people that's controlling them. So again, you can have these countries that don't want to join this whole New World Order, or these countries they want destabilized, you can send in the Muslims. And this is what we have been seeing since the rise of Islam. How come all these crazy wars been having something to do with Islam? Whenever we see some kind of kidnapping or something like that, terrorist attack has to do with Islam. And this is how they can control us and control the rest of the world by saying, well, it's Islam's fault and Islam is doing something and we got to go in there and protect the people from Islam. So this is what they've been doing to destabilize these places that don't want to buy in. So now they can send in Muslims. They can come in with peace and set up shop real nice and neat and everything is all fine and good. And then next thing you know, there's some kind of unrest and uprising. So this basically brings us to what we're seeing today. So we know the whole situation with the Uyghurs. And if you don't understand what happened with the Uyghurs, this is in, I believe it's in Xinjiang in the People's Republic of China. So remember, LeBron got the whole backlash for him basically speaking out about this whole thing about the Chinese, what they basically was doing over there. So the whole thing is this, basically what I just said. The Chinese start looking at the Uyghurs like, who is these people? They're more Turkish, than anything else. But they're Turkish people that's mixing in with the Chinese that have been put there a long time ago, decades ago. When America knew that it would probably have an issue with China, they started instilling these people in China a long time ago. And you had these Uyghurs, these people don't know. They don't know that they are created people. Like, if I take Turkish people and I pay people and finance these people to go into China and just breed, all I want you to do is go in there and fuck and breed and create families, but make sure y'all okay, spread Islam deeply, live by Islam. All right? That's the bomb right there. It's a Trojan horse. They go in there and they do this. And unbeknownst to the people, you are human, you were born, you're raised, you're growing up, and you're Islamic, and that's all you know. That's in you, that's in your heart. But you don't know that you are a created person, and the reason why you exist is for deception. And these people don't understand that. So eventually China will understand what's going on. They will look and say, well, damn, they got us. So these Uyghurs, which is like supposed to be like a million of them or something like that. Matter of fact, I think like 30 or 10 or 20. There's a lot of them. I can't give you the exact number. There's a shitload of these Uyghurs over there. And the Chinese started looking at them was like, fuck. So what they started doing was taking these people and putting them in these detention camps. And then now you have America that can jump up and say human rights and so on and so forth. But why China? And this is the part people are not seeing. Why China? What's been happening with China? China done had their ass in African cookie jar. And China been hip and been jumping into Africa and buying up all kinds of stuff and buying up stuff that they think America gonna try to get their hands on, like Jamaica and all these other countries that China has been trying to, or islands I should say, China been trying to jump into, like Puerto Rico, like the Bahamas. Now, when you start to see the Chinese have a huge, massive interest in Puerto Rico and the Bahamas, and then all of a sudden, natural disaster. That the Chinese wanted to go into the Bahamas and Puerto Rico and had this huge expansion ideas for these places, Jamaica as well. And then all of a sudden, there's a problem. And a lot of people are not seeing but the behind the scenes war with the powers that be in China. So that happened. And the reason why the Uyghurs thrown in these concentration camps is because, well, not concentration camps, detention centers, is because China they see what's going to happen. They see that, oh, well, damn, if we allow these people to rise up with their whole Islamic stuff, they're going to start a war, and basically China's going to get taken over from the inside out, like they have done with all these other countries. So to stop that, the Chinese have been taking these people and putting them in these camps until they can figure out who they really are and make sure they're not there to destabilize the country. So one country finally figured it out. But been in Thailand, of course, been in Cambodia and Laos, and seen in Thailand a huge population of Muslim Thai people. And it's like, huh? You don't understand your own ancient culture that's everywhere. How could these people be Muslim? It's crazy, but this is what they have done. And you remember it was the whole bombing there at the Buddhist temple in Thailand, and this is how they're keeping these people in order. Okay, so because of this whole thing with China and the Uyghurs and this whole supposedly human rights violation, what happened is you have America impose sanctions on China on their imports and exports. So China did the same thing. China imposed tariffs on our stuff, on our farmers and our small businesses, which is hurting business. And that was the whole point of this whole new deal between Trump and China and this whole trade thing. And people were pissed about it because it don't release the tariffs that's actually on the that's still in place. So America has something like 300 and something $billion in tariffs on the imports or the stuff that China's trying to bring in, which will break down to something like 30-something billion in taxes, I believe, that America would get because of these tariffs that's in place. And China has basically the same thing, with us. So it's hurting the business people, it's hurting the farmers. Now this new deal is going to give some relief to them, to where it's going to help them out in other areas. But the main thing they worried about is, these tariffs that's in place. So the reason why that deal was struck, of course, is because one, it avoids war for now. But when you pay attention, it almost seems as if America is trying to bring China into this war for whatever reason. And it's crazy to think about it, because it seems like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bait China into this war, which is why when Trump looked at that man and said, this is important that we do this now. This is a big deal. And people in the know understand, what it is. Anybody trying to go to war with China is just stupid, not for Trump and not for what's happening, because we know it's a setup. So the issue becomes, you start messing with oil prices and everything like that. Iran has been the go-to place. Iran has been, okay, we always got Iran. We always had Syria, because they don't give a fuck about America and what's going on, so we always run to them. Which is why now we're going to take these places, we're going to hold on to these places, we're going to destabilize them and make war and surround these places with so many soldiers and so on and so forth. So if you do try to get something out of there, you ain't going to be able to get it. If you do cut any deal for a large amount of anything, we're going to make sure it doesn't make it to you. You're not going to be able to get it. So this goes into, the whole control of the canals, which is a big deal in this whole thing. So we know you have, of course, Panama Canal. If we're going to trade, and I know a lot of people are going to say, first thing on pop of your head is just use planes. And the whole thing is, one, for insurance reasons, if you put billions of dollars of cargo on the plane goes down, that's the end of everything. You're not getting nothing. But with a tanker, with a ship, it's going to take the ship probably a while to sink, where by that time you can get some help to probably salvage the ship. And even if it does sink, stuff is in like airtight containers. It's whole companies that's what they do, is they go and salvage stuff. You can get your stuff back, you can recoup the merchandise. So that's one of the main reasons. So and by sea it's just a lot more safer and easier. So if you control these canals, you can control trade. So you have with the Panama Canal, America built that thing. And at both ends of the canal right now, you have Chinese companies. So China is smart, and they placing themselves where these canals are, which you have a couple of the most major canals in Africa. Bab el Mandeb Strait, Suez Canal, of course, Straits of Gibraltar, and a couple other these canals that's basically in Africa, up in Turkey, and a few other places. So Africa is important to the Chinese in America as well, because if you are controlling the territory that these straits run through, you can control the flow of trade in and out of China, which is, a big deal for them and for everybody. So basically, try to run through this quickly. This is what this whole thing is all about, what it's leading up to. We know they just had a new deal for NAFTA, which is the North American Free Trade Agreement. And that is basically has been replaced with the, what is it called? The UMCA, which is the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. And it ain't ratified yet because Canada's still looking over it. So that has been changed. And the reason why they got rid of NAFTA is because they're afraid of what China's going to do as far as coming into Mexico and Canada to try to strike up some trade agreements and, get some stuff. So it's a lot that's going on. And we got to be real mindful of what's happening trade-wise with America and China, and to pay attention, because that's what it's about. It's about money. It's about them. I'll get in this a little bit deeper coming up, because it really has something to do with some of the stuff I talk about. But they're realizing their plan is not going to work what they had planned before. So it's like a situation where we all put in this money, right, to do a certain thing, and then we all realize it's not going to work. So we're all trying to scramble and get as much as we can get before the deal, before the deal is done. So this basically what's taking place now. Everybody's scrambling to try to grab what they can grab. But America would love to pull China into a war, because guess what? The people at the top won't have to fight it. We will. Those soldiers will. They don't care who's dying or who's killing whoever. They don't care about that. They know that they're going to send people to war. They can make money. A lot of people can make money, and they can have an excuse to go, bring about the New World Order the way they did before with the whole European Union. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what this stuff is about. And it's not really too much more to it than that, but definitely got to pay attention to Iran and China relations. And Russia, of course, will be involved because they're allied with Iran. And anything that affects China affects everybody. So it's a big deal. It's touchy. So phase 1 of this whole plan was signed by Trump, China. We'll see what happened with phase 2 if China holds up to its end of the deal, because China's supposed to be buying like billions of dollars worth of agriculture and stuff like that, technology from America to help the economy. And we'll see if they do that. But yeah, well, thank you guys for taking the time to watch. About 20 or so, 17 books available, I believe. Check them out. Definitely take advantage of these deals, and I will see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.